I've changed classrooms in the hopes of finding a more in-tune piano. And I think this one is a little bit better in tune, but it's not great, so I apologize about that. I'd like to talk just about a few additional mode mixture chords in this last lecture. I'm going to talk about the flat 7 chord, and I'm also going to talk about the tonic chord as a mode mixture chord. Let me start by sharing my screen. Okay, so this is the end of the handout on modal mixture. The flat 7 chord is not discussed in chapter 3, but I thought that you should know about it. It's a useful mode mixture chord, and it has some interesting uses. Let's just think about what a flat 7 chord would be. If you were in the key of C major, the 7 diminished triad is B, D, F. And if you lower the 7th scale degree, B becomes B flat. And that means that the flat 7 chord would be B flat, D, F. It's the subtonic chord. It's the same chord that we call capital Roman numeral 7 in a minor key, where the scale degree flat 7, the te, is a diatonic note. In a major key, the note a whole step below tonic is not diatonic, it's chromatic. So we have to indicate that by putting a flat in front of the Roman numeral. So my bullet points here give you 3 different uses for the flat 7 chord. This is not an exhaustive list, but this is the main group of uses. So first of all, the flat 7 chord can act as 5 of flat 3. So in that way, it's just like having the subtonic chord in a minor key that tonicizes the mediant, except here it's tonicizing the flat mediant. A second use is that in rock or blues music, where you often have a lot of plagal cadences, a lot of 4-1 motion, the flat 7 chord is actually the 4 chord in the key of 4. Think about that. In C major, your 4 chord is F, and in F major, your 4 chord is B flat, and B flat is flat 7 in the key of C. Take a look at the example, the Lennon and McCartney, You Never Give Me Your Money. This is in the key of C, and it has a plagal cadence, a 1, 4, 1. But preceding the 4 is this flat 7 chord, which the authors of this textbook have helpfully labeled as 4 in the key of 4. Let me play this for you. Okay, so it's 1, flat 7, going to 4, and then going back to 1. It's sort of a double plagal cadence, where you have the 4 of 4 going to 4 and then going to 1. Yet another use of the flat 7 chord is that it can substitute for a dominant chord in a cadence. If you have a cadence that goes flat 7 to 1, there is no leading tone by definition because you've got te instead of t. So technically this is a type of plagal cadence. The next example by George Harrison is in the key of A major. It eventually moves to a 4 chord, and then instead of going to 5, we substitute the flat 7 chord for 5. In other words, instead of going 1, 4, 5, 1, A major, D major, E major, A major, we go 1 to 4, and then we go to the flat 7, and then back to 1. And that's a plagal cadence. I will attempt to play this. I don't play it. It's a little trickier than the last one, but I'll do my best. And here it is. again, it's 1 to 4 to flat 7, passing 7th, and to 1. The tonic chord can also occur in mode mixture. The one example that I would really consider to be mode mixture in a minor key, that is mode mixture the other way, where you're in a minor key and you borrow a chord from the parallel major, would be the so-called Picardy third chord, the major 1 chord that sometimes ends a piece or ends a section of a piece in minor. The reason I wouldn't consider other chords to be exactly mode mixture chords is that they use other forms of the minor scale, the harmonic minor or the melodic minor, but the major 1 chord in a minor key uses only the raised scale degree 3. So just to remind you of the sound, here's a chord progression that does that. I'll stay in the key of A, but I'll go to A minor now. So we have a chord progression in A minor. And then we end. Let's consider the 1 chord if we're in a major key and what happens to the 1 chord if we use modal mixture. I'm going to go back and share my screen again. Okay. So if we're in a major key and we have a mode mixture tonic chord, what we're doing is we're borrowing the minor 1 chord from the parallel minor. And so we have a minor 1 chord in the context of major. This chord often occurs in the context of other mode mixture. So for example, a cadential 6/4 chord that follows 1 or more mode mixture chords is often a minor 1/6/4, just to keep the mode mixture going as those mode mixture predominant chords move to the dominant. My first example for you is from Beethoven's Missa Solemnis. And here the minor 1/6 chord is used as part of a descending bass line. It fills in as a chromatic passing tone between F sharp and E. So you can hear that the descending bass line goes 6, 5, 4, 3, lowered 3, 2, 1, 7. Okay, so in this case, it's not part of mode mixture more generally, but it follows a major 1/6 chord in order to give us that chromatic passing tone. Here's what that sounds like. The second example is more what I was talking about when I talked about a minor 1 being used in the context of other mode mixture. Here we're in the key of B flat major. So we have a tonic chord, turns into a secondary dominant. Instead of going to 4, it resolves deceptively to a mode mixture 2 chord, the 2 half diminished 7 chord. That chord sticks around for 2 measures, and then it goes back to 1 before going to 5 of 5. So here, the explanation for why we're using modal mixture in this measure is that it would sound weird to go back to using natural notes after we had these measures with G flats in them. It might sound a little sudden to go back with and have the D natural. I have to say that in this case, I'm not sure that this is really a case of a minor 1 chord. I sort of hear the conclusion of this line as being a half cadence, and that would mean that we had modulated, or at least were briefly in the key of F, the dominant. So I would kind of hear this as a mode mixture 4 chord going to 5 in the key of F. Either way, it is a mode mixture chord. So listen to the sound of being in B flat major and then moving towards B flat minor before ending on 5 of 5, or if you will, ending on 5. Here's what this sounds like. This concludes the lectures on Chapter 23 on modal mixture.